If anybody ever asked me, do you believe you'd ever get an interview with this guy? I'd say probably not. And he's here right now. Guys, welcome. I got Hot Country. We have William Lee Golden hanging out with Hot Country from the Oak Ridge Boys. How are you,
Hey,
William?
Tracy, I'm doing great today. How you doing?
Ah, I am honored to be on a Zoom call with you right now because you mean so much to so many of us that have listened to your music. You've touched our souls. You are just so iconic. We got to start, we're going to go right to the new when it comes to you. We got some new music. It comes from the album Mama's Boys. Let's talk about the new song and then the video that just dropped, Come On Home.
Well, it's a brand new album and a brand new song. It was Dave Cobb's idea for the Oak Ridge Boys to do an album about mothers, our mothers, and to title the album Mama's Boys. And he commissioned some of the great songwriters here in Nashville to write some songs, original songs for the project. And there was uh, one song that we did that Willie Nelson wrote and sang a duet with Dwayne on, and we harmonized with him on the new album. And Dave Cobb is one of the hot producers in Nashville today. He produces all of Chris Stapleton's albums, and so he's an award-winning Grammy Award producer. But this is our fifth album that we've recorded with Dave Cobb producing, and but the Mama's Boys, the song that we released, that's a video that we decided to put a video on, was one of the more streamed songs during the original release of the album this past year. And so what it did is it kind of spurred a lot of attention, just the streaming of the song. And David Lee Murphy and Aaron Retier wrote this song, and it was written for the Oak Ridge Boys for this album. And it's a song about a boy leaving home. And anyhow, it's called Come On Home. He leaves home and he travels out, headed west, going seek his future and his fortune. And then he gets in LA and he calls his mother back from a truck stop and they talk. And that's kind of the premise of the story. And our young tenor, Ben James, is playing the boy leaving home. He's a young kid. He's 28 years old now, but anyhow, he was perfect to play the guy leaving home in the high mile Cadillac, and a beautiful old Cadillac that we had here that my son owned actually. But it's our new video, and the Oak Ridge Boys, we're excited about coming back to Rama, Casino Rama, and
Yes, Casino Rama Resort. You're coming our way June 27th.
yeah, and that's just in a few days. And it's been a long time since we've been there. We've been there several times back in the day. In fact, the Oak Ridge Boys, I remember when we used to play there before it was a big casino. There was a huge bingo thing there. And I remember they had a big tent set up outside. And the Oak Ridge Boys and Tanya Tucker did a big show there in a big tent one time. And that was just before they were starting construction on the big Casino Rama. So we go way back with that area, and we have a lot of great friends there, and we miss coming up there. It's been a while, and we're excited about being able to come back to Casino Rama.
We're excited to have you come back to Canada, play here with us. Now, you think of the whole time you've been in country music. It has evolved. It's changed over the years from the 80s, but when we think of classic country, we always think of Elvira.
Yeah,
And you guys redid the video last year. You had Kid Rock.
we
Uh,
did.
you had some pretty Lori Morgan in there. You had some pretty cool people join you for that. A lot of friends.
It was Big and Rich hosted us there at their club there in Nashville on Broadway down there, and so they brought a bunch of their friends and we brought a bunch of our friends and we just had a big party and we sang Elvira for everybody in a club setting.
The big thing is, getting to know the man behind the beard. The classic, iconic beard, William Lee Golden from the Oak Ridge Boys here with Tracy Lynn on Hot Country. You have an autobiography that's out, adding it to our 2025 Hot Country must reads. Why was it so important to get this book out? Because, I mean, you rip the band aid off, like you're raw, you are right to it with all the stories that you're sharing.
Well, it was during the pandemic.
Mhm.
Scott England was a longtime friend. We've known Scott. He was a television producer, writer, and director. And anyhow, when we'd first met him, but he had moved to Nashville with as a TV guy and moved here for RFD television. Had a job here, but he got to writing books on the side and wrote some about different country music people. But he had approached me two or three times, 3 or 4 times about wanting to write a book with me and hearing my story. And so I was doing 150 days on the road with the Oak Ridge Boys. And so it was during the pandemic when we were all sent home. And
Mhm.
Scott called me again and said, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I was down on our family farm in South Alabama that week. And hanging out down on the farm. And so I invited him to come down and see exactly where I come from and to meet my sister. And she lives across the road. And but I still have our old home place there, our family farm where I grew up. And but he come down and we got to talking and talking about a lot of things. And then when I come back home here in Nashville, he would come over in the afternoons 2 or 3 times a week for about 6 months, and he'd sit on the front porch with me, and he'd put a little recorder down, and he would talk, ask me questions, and we'd discuss things. And I told him, I said, "Scott, you can talk to anyone else you want to about my life and where I'm coming from." And
Mhm.
so he talked to the Oak Ridge Boys. He talked to our manager and different people. He talked to a couple of my wives, and my first wife got into some stories I was not going to get into, and about
You
my
always got to love the first
unfaithfulness.
wife, eh?
Yeah, and anyhow, I had a song back then called "Trying to Love Two Women Is Like a Ball and Chain," and
Yeah.
that was
One.
during a time that was my life story too. And anyhow, it kind of all come together and collided there when they got together to find out exactly who I loved and what was going on here. And I won't get into all of that, but yeah, I did write a book, and I kind of laid out what the facts that I know, and then I learned some things in my own book with my ex-wives talking about situations. So you never get too old to learn something new.
I love it. Well, guys, you got to get the book. You got to find out all the juicy details. William Lee Golden from the Oak Ridge Boys. Now, is the beard ever going to come off, or is this just 100% you? It's not going anywhere.
Well, I lost my razor in 1980, and I still haven't found it. So I feel pretty comfortable with myself, and the beard don't get any longer; it just gets whiter. So,
Well, we love you. We love the beard. We love you guys. We are so excited. June 27th, Casino Rama Resort. The Oak Ridge Boys are coming to hang out with us. Before we end, we did talk about the way that country music has evolved over the years, especially
yeah.
when you're looking from the 80s and you're looking from this view. What would be your advice or message to artists that are getting into this industry? And from your experience, what would be your message to them?
Well, it's the same thing that happened with us and what happens to most young people coming into country music. The Oak Ridge Boys were around for 10 years or so together for 10 years before we got with Jim Halsey, a country manager, to take a gospel group and introduce us to country music. He was the number one manager and agent in country music, and he brought us into his fold of country talent and got us a record contract. We had our first country album in 1977, and it was called the Y'all Come Back Saloon. So that was our first country album, and then every year since then we've almost recorded another one, you know. But
Mhm.
and then it was in 1981 when Elvira hit and took us in country music. It went to the top of country charts and spilled right over into pop and rock and roll. They were all playing Elvira the summer of 1981. Singers keep singing. You know, I mean, it took us a while. You got wonderful people like Lainey Wilson that's come on so strong. I'm a huge fan of Lainey Wilson. She was around Nashville for about 7 years before she finally got a break. And so you have to keep singing if you're serious about what you do. And you go where the music takes you. And that's the whole thing about life. That's what we're doing. We go where the music takes us. And thank God we've been had a fortunate life of going to a lot of different places, meeting some of the most wonderful people in the whole world. And we can't wait to get back to Canada to see some friends. And it's been too long since we've been up there.
Well, we're excited that the music is bringing us to you at Casino Rama Resort.